Hey there everybody, I'm Jackie and this is Casually Quilled. Today we're going to do a little bit of a beginner's class. So as you can see here, I've got a few different pens and a bottle of ink, and we're going to do some cleaning. So I have a couple here that I've just finished using, and then I've got a couple of older ones that need to be cleaned. And if they give us a little bit of a fit, well, that's kind of a good thing. So I've got a couple tools here, and this isn't going to be the best cleaning because I usually do it at the sink, so I have more room and more clean water to go over. But since we're just kind of trying to cover the basics, I don't think that's a problem. So I've got my towel and I've got some water. I've got my little, I don't really know what you want to call him, my little, oh my gosh, I really can't think of the word of this right now. My little sucky dude. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with the Jinhao because it's the one that I kind of just finished the ink out of, so it should be the least dry. And there's two different ways you can do this. So you can use it just kind of like ink, and you can fill it up with the water, and you can do that until it gets clear. This is why I do it over the sink, so I don't have to refill this as much, so my water stays more clear versus turning green on the first go. Kind of hard to get it clean if your water's green, but that's okay. I may take a break and go change it out. So you're going to do this back and forth, and in fact you can see that the color in there is already starting to change. It's much lighter, much more see-through. Whoops, helps to get it in the water. See how much lighter that already is? And you can do this, but it takes a while and your arms are going to get a little tired. I also find this method to be a little more difficult on getting the nib totally clean. So I'm going to pause it here, and then I'm going to actually come back with some clean water. And I'm going to give these guys a good start. As you can see, this is my Esterbrook. It's been sitting a little while. And we'll see, yeah, see how it's turned it purple? This one's going to need a little bit more of probably a deep clean, which is what I'm kind of hoping for. Can go ahead and get these guys started. So I do start all of my pens this way before I take them apart. Alright, let's switch out the water. And I'm back. So we just gotta keep going. But we're going to move to the next step that I like to do. So I'm actually going to take that apart, and you're going to use this now to take up a little bit of water, or a lot of bit of water. And this, I also like to do this over the sink because it will make a huge mess. Can anyway. I'm covered in ink. So you put it down in a little dude, and you just squeeze the water through. Let me see if I can get it to where you can kind of see. Yeah, see it coming out the nib there. So you just kind of do that, and I find this to be the easiest way to get it clean. I think it goes a little quicker and is a little easier. If you go too hard or if they're not quite as tight, they will definitely spray the crap out of you, which is what I mean by can be a little messier. See, you can see some of the ink coming out there. Oh, I apparently did not get water. So I usually run at least 2 of these guys through. I have poked a hole in that. Okay. And I will kind of just soak the whole thing in some water. Good. Alright. Now I usually use a paper towel because it's a little easier to tell if you've still got ink in there. I saw it, so I know that there's still a little ink in there. Sometimes it cakes back here through the tines, the feed, get all of that. Yep, it's still got a little, so we'll go again until you don't see any colored ink or anything. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try again. That's looking a bit better. I'll clean the water and check it heavily in a minute. And then for this guy, you do the same thing as before, but it actually cleans a little quicker now because you don't have the other body in the way, the nib. I also like to kind of take it and shake it back here because ink will just get kind of everywhere. Which if you've worked with it at all, you probably already know that. So, just do this a couple of times. You can see it's already pretty much clear except for the little bit of green tint that I put back in the water. Alright. And then you just kind of leave it to dry. I usually go back and forth a couple times just to try to help get the excess water back out of it. And this guy, we're going to take it apart too. But for this one, he did come clean pretty easily. So instead of doing it with this one, I think I might do it as a 2-in-1 with the other pen here. So let's hurry and finish this one up. See, it's clear. Nothing else purple really coming out. Doesn't look purple there. Same thing with this one. We're just gonna see the water coming out of that. It's definitely purple, and now it's already clear. So it's so much faster. The fact that I have water coming out there, though, is unusual. Gonna have to see if maybe I've knocked my nib a little loose, my feed. I can play with that in a minute. Okay, I'll finish cleaning him in a minute. For now, let's get on to the Venu. So this one, not only was this one glitter, but this one was also a cartridge. Yes, that's correct, cartridge. So what you have to do for this one's a little different. Just like I filled it with a syringe, I'm also going to clean it with a syringe. These guys I do over the sink because they make a mess. So I put water in and then I try to take it back out. And then usually at the sink I will kind of overflow the water and let it run out. Not going to do it too much here just because it'll make a huge mess, but we'll be able to get the general idea. And these take very little. I have to admit they're almost way easier to clean than the converters can be, but that's it. See, it's already nice and clean. A little harder to dry maybe, but as for this, it's exactly the same. Alright, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna get, I think I have my empty bottle here handy. Yes. I used to have some Flush In right here, and we're gonna flush that cap to try to help get the glitter out a little easier. Trying to think how I want to do this actually. I think instead of that, we're going to use, we're going to use my ink miser instead. Since we're not using the nib to bring it up, this will be a little easier. I don't want to use all my flush, so I'm going to use the syringe to take just a little. You really don't need much. Just took a little bit of that. And we can put this guy back, so we're not using it. And I'm gonna take it up in here, just like I would the water. And we're gonna put it through the exact same way. Yeah, you can see it bubbles. That's just going to help it clean out a little easier, get the glitter out. And that's what I was trying to show with the Esterbrook. I tried to let the ink so it would stick to it a little more and be a little more difficult. Obviously I would not use the glitter water that's in here, or you just will probably put more glitter back in. I would go and I would get fresh, clean water to finish rinsing it with, which is what I'll do afterward. But that is your basics of cleaning in several of the different methods. And then you kind of want to leave them apart and let everything dry really well. But The other thing I wanted to do was, if you have an ink that's not working or you want to refill it and stuff, obviously you can just empty it into the cup that same way. Some people are very against putting ink back into the bottles, but I think if you haven't done anything and you haven't used much of it, I don't really have an issue with putting it back in. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do that with this yellow because I just can't see it to write with it. So I'm just gonna push the plunger down the same way you kind of pull it up to prime it in order to get the ink out. And that way I'm not really down as much. It doesn't work as well with this pen. I'm gonna lose a lot because the nature of it, like there's still a lot in there. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean this guy. Because it doesn't come apart, you pretty much have to do it the old school method of back and forth. And it's just gonna be the exact same way. I'm sure there's a way you could probably take this apart and really heavy clean it. I'm not going to try to do that or anything, but as you can see, the window's already getting very clear, so it won't take too much, especially with a light yellow like that. It should clean through pretty quickly. And like, if you've ever seen me put the glitter in and then I add a little bit of Dawn, I would definitely never put that back in your bottle because there's a chance of it having a reaction or tainting the others. You might have a pen you don't want the Dawn in. That's just not worth the risk. So in this case, because I haven't done anything to it, haven't tampered with it, I barely used it, I did go ahead and put it back in. But there are a lot of people who will say that you should never do that anyway. It's just a personal choice. But those are the standard methods for cleaning. I will say I usually will spritz out the caps as well because you never know when it could have spit a little or you might have some ink just down in there. So since it has to stay apart to dry anyways, I do always rinse the caps heavily, and you'd be surprised how much ink does tend to get in there. Some of them you can see, like this one I can pretty well see through, so I can pretty well tell there's not much ink, but I can also see there's a couple little drops down it. So it's just better to clean it, and then you don't have to worry about it. I don't worry about cleaning these ones at all unless there's just been an issue with the converter. But yeah, that is how you clean fountain pens, at least the basics of it. Like I said, use fresh water, do it at the sink. It's just a lot easier, a lot less risk of mess. I'm really amazed I didn't spritz myself with fresh water, well, dirty water, but that will cover everything, and have a good one. We'll see you next time.